Hi, my name is Asia. Welcome to this IELTS speaking exam. I will be your examiner today. For marking purposes, I'm going to record this interview. Is it okay with you?
Hi, Asia. Okay, yeah, sure.
Thank you. First of all, let me ask you some questions for identification purposes. What is your full name?
My name is Olivier Millard.
Thank you. And do you have your passport with you?
Yes, sure.
Can I have a look?
Please.
Thank you. Thank you, Olivia. Where are you from?
I'm originally from Paris.
Thank you. Okay, there will be 3 parts in this exam, and before each part, I will give you instructions. Are you ready to begin?
Yes, sure.
In this first part, I will ask you some questions about yourself. So please tell me, are you from a town or a village?
That's an interesting question. I was born in, I would say, a village in the suburb of Paris. And on the other hand, it's part of the greater Paris suburban area. So it's not a village in the middle of nowhere. So I would say a town.
Okay. What kind of jobs do people do in this town?
I don't know many people in this town, to be honest. I guess very typical mix of professions that would be expected from people in that suburban part of Paris. So some public service, some commercial activities, and then anything else that would be typical of a town in that part.
Okay, thank you. Would you like to live there in the future?
No, I would think it's a little bit remote and far from what I consider home today, which is not anywhere near Paris or suburban Paris.
Thank you. What is your favorite wild animal?
Oh, um, the fox, because I like to see them around. Where I live in London, I like to have them wandering around and making me feel that despite being in Greater London, uh, there is a part of wildlife around me that is more impressive than simply mice and rats.
What do you like about it?
I find them cute. I think that the color and their attitude is interesting, and the fact that they can be very different from one another, sometimes extremely shy and departing as soon as I show my face in any corner of any street, and some other times simply crossing the street in front of me a few meters away, behaving like I did not exist.
Okay, and do you think it's a good thing that people keep animals in zoos?
Well, yes, provided that they are kept in good conditions and that there is no particular harm done to them, which might be the case in certain regions of the world. But I think in Europe, typically, it's an opportunity for people who cannot travel far to actually see the wildlife as it is as it could look like in its natural habitat, very close or reasonably close to their home, giving them the opportunity to have access to that wildlife.
Okay, thank you. Let's talk about the next topic. Have you ever visited a farm?
Yes, that was a very long time ago when I was at school in France. It's called the Green Class, and it's a day out in a farm outside Paris where we were being explained all the businesses and intricacies and activities around the farm. And although I was very young, I actually still remember some of it. And I did enjoy that day out, yes.
Thank you. Why is farming important?
The short answer, I would say because people need to eat, and we need to produce the food that we need to eat. And as a topic in general, I think it's important from a political standpoint that people need to ensure that the production of food is appropriate, of a good standard, healthy, and sufficient to feed the population of a region.
Okay, thank you. This is the end of part 1. Now we're moving to part 2.
Okay.
In the second part, I will give you a card with a question and several sub-questions. You will need to talk about this topic for 1 to 2 minutes.
Okay.
And you have 1 minute to prepare your answer.
Okay.
You can make notes if you wish.
Thank you.
Okay, I will tell you when to turn it. Okay, please turn your topic.
Okay.
While Olivier is preparing his answer, let me tell you about a place where you can take a mock speaking test and practice your English speaking skills with native speaking teachers. This is Cambly, the sponsor of today's video. Cambly is an online learning platform where you can take lessons with teachers from the UK, Canada, Australia, or other countries. This means that you can practice your speaking and listening skills at the same time and get used to the accent of the country you're going to. You can choose topics for your lessons yourself, or take IELTS speaking lessons or even a mock speaking test. Lessons start from just 15 minutes a day, twice a week, and you can take them at any time that suits you. I have a link that will give you a 10-minute class for free. If you like it, you can subscribe with an extra discount. You save the most if you take a 12-month plan. And if you change your mind, you can cancel your subscription and get a refund. I really encourage you to take your free lesson while it's available. All the links are in the video description box below. And now it's time to return to our exam. Okay. Remember, you have 1 to 2 minutes. And don't worry if I stop you. I will tell you when your time is up. Please start talking now.
Okay, so the conversation was taking place at my physics exam at university, and exams are always an intense experience, and so this exam was verbal, and so I remember it because it went beyond the context of the topic that I was meant to master, and it was, the question I picked was about light transmission in solids and fluids and gas, and how light behaves in these, and I found it interesting as a topic, and I scored very well. I was also lucky with picking a question that I very much liked, that part of that physics course. and the professor Dehaas then told me that I did very well at the end, and I responded that I was not actually finished, and I could tell him more, such that, like, why, for example, the sky is blue, and why is it not black, even though the space behind it is black, and he told me that that's something I should keep to tell my girlfriend, because it's a romantic aspect of the course, and that we had no time to discuss it anymore in the context of the exam, and that in any case he was not my girlfriend, so that I should keep that for later. So yeah, that's something I will always remember.
Okay, your time is up. Thank you. In a conversation, do you prefer listening or talking?
I would say that I'm typically more a listener, but I also like to give my view and my opinion. Um, but in the right balance between listening and talking, I like to have all the facts at hand and be able to formulate an informed opinion based on a complete view of the situation.
Thank
So
you.
I will.
Thank you. I think it's time to move to part 3. We've been talking about a conversation. Now I'd like to ask you some questions about media and communication in general. Do you think the way people communicate has changed over the last 20 years?
Yes, very much so. I believe that the emergence of technology and new communication means have changed significantly the way people do communicate, and that's both, I think, having an impact on the channels, the means used to communicate, and the substance of what and how they communicate, the tone of the communication. So definitely a significant acceleration of communication. A speed of communication is now much faster than it used to be in the past, and the nature of the communication is also much more immediate and reactive and spontaneous than it used to be.
Is it a good thing?
It has advantages in the efficiency of the whole process, in the sense that faster communication makes any business around it actually occurring at a faster speed, which is good for productivity and for business. But it also has some drawbacks, in the sense that people may tend to overreact or express their opinion without taking a step back, and do it in a way, for example, on Twitter or some other live channels, in a way that is based on heated reaction, and that they may regret later on, thinking that if they took a step back and saw the holistic situation through, they may have either not said or written the thing, but or perhaps say something else, less controversial in many instances.
Okay. Do you think people can trust everything they read in the media?
No, and that's a good point, because the fact that so many people now have access to publishing whatever they want to say with very low latency means that the readers on the other side have a multitude of information coming their way, and it's increasingly difficult for the audience, for the target readership, to actually balance what is either subjective, objective, true, false, who to trust. And we probably have an increasing problem in today's world whereby a large number of people are not sure what source of information to trust and what to believe as a result, and cannot really make an informed decision because they are receiving mixed accurate and inaccurate information and opinions that they may or may not share.
Do you think fake news is a real problem?
Yes, so in the context of what I just explained, I think that there is a lot of what is called fake news, in the sense that either news being put very quickly, very easily by anyone on the internet or on a visible medium can be false or inaccurate, and it may actually be deliberate or simply not intended, and the impact is unfortunately the same, that people may be tempted to believe things that are inaccurate and sometimes maliciously communicated by some bodies to influence the opinion of the population. It can happen in the context of votes, elections, in other contexts.
Okay, thank you. This is the end of part 3 and the end of the speaking exam. Olivier, thank you for your time today, and good luck with the rest of your exam.
Thank you, Asia. Have a nice day.
You too. Bye.
Thank you.
So, what do you think about Olivier's performance? I think he did really well. Perhaps his answers were not as smooth, as perfect as some sample mock tests you can find on YouTube, but they were real. He had no idea what the questions would be. He didn't rehearse his answers. He heard them for the first time and he delivered answers. And as a serious adult man, he was caught out by some questions such as what is your favorite wild animal? And sometimes he hesitated and he thought about what he wanted to say, but that is not a problem. Even for Band 9, you can hesitate if these hesitations are content related. IELTS examiners check if you hesitate because you can't find a word in English, or you are thinking what verb tense you need to use, or if you're just thinking what you actually want to say. Examiners are real people and they understand that sometimes it's just difficult to find what to say. So that is not a problem. Olivier answered all the questions precisely, fully. All his answers were straight to the point and he expanded them and he went into detail. And that's where he could use more complex vocabulary. For example, did you notice that in part 2, his topic was about a conversation, but he started talking about some physics terms and he knew what they're called, and that really shows that his vocabulary is really wide and he can use it very naturally. He can express all his thoughts and ideas in English naturally. His grammatical range was really wide too. Even in part 1, at some points, he used really complex structures. For example, the past continuous passive. And he didn't make any pause before saying the phrase. It just came out in a flow automatically. And that again shows the fluency and the grammatical range. As for his pronunciation, perhaps you could hear his French accent. I find it very cute, and it's not a problem. IELTS examiners can hear your accent. The criterion, the requirement, is whether the examiner needs to make an effort to understand you, or they can understand you effortlessly. Of course, today, all exams are taken in masks. So that means the examiner will not be able to see your lips, and you need to speak even more clearly and a little bit more loud than you would naturally. I think a really good thing while you're preparing for your speaking exam is to take a mock exam and record yourself on video and then watch this video and check. Could you easily understand yourself? If not, think what you could improve. At the end of the day, that's only your performance during the exam that matters, so make sure that you speak loud, clear, and you look at the examiner even if the examiner is not looking back at you. You can learn how to meet all the requirements that IELTS examiners use to assess your answers and how to perform better during your exam in my online course called IELTS Speaking Boost. It also includes some practice tests that you can take on your own to get used to the exam format. If you'd like to take some mock speaking tests with a native speaking teacher, check out Cambly. All the links are in the video description box below. In IELTS